Picture this. You push your last commit, close your laptop, and go to sleep. While you are out, a swarm of autonomous AI agents keeps coding, refactoring, running browser tests, and wiring up new features across your app. When you wake up, your inbox is full of plans, code changes, and video recordings of your product actually working in the browser. This is not a sci-fi pitch deck. This is Google DeepMind's new IDE, Antigravity, and it quietly landed the same week as Gemini 3 Pro. Antigravity is not just another plugin bolted onto VS Code. It is the first fully fledged IDE built end-to-end by a foundational AI lab, Google DeepMind, with the models and the editor designed as one system. They are not just shipping a model and an API. They are shipping the entire workspace, from transformer weights to key bindings. And here is the twist. Antigravity does not embed AI into your editor. It embeds your editor into the AI. To understand why this matters, zoom out for a second. Every big shift in coding tools has followed a jump in model capability. First autocomplete, then chat, then fragile agents that fell apart on long tasks. Gemini 3 Pro is the next jump, and Antigravity is the first IDE that assumes from day one that the model can plan, execute, and verify hours of work, not just guess the next line. The center of gravity moves from your cursor to an autonomous agent that treats the editor, browser, and terminal as tools it can pick up and put down. So what actually is antigravity? Think of it as a three-surface attack on your workflow: an AI-powered editor, an agent-controlled browser, and a central agent manager that runs above everything. These three surfaces are peers, all wired into Gemini 3, and agents can jump between them in under 100 milliseconds. Instead of feeling like a chatbot in the corner, the agent behaves more like a distributed operating system process orchestrating your entire dev environment. In a minute, you will see why that changes how you review code, ship features, and even think about your role on the team. At ground level sits the AI editor, a fork of VS Code that feels exactly like the tool your fingers already know. Tabs, terminals, breakpoints, all the muscle memory is intact, and lightning-fast autocomplete handles the usual type and suggest work. But there is a new presence on the side, an agent sidebar that mirrors the agent manager's context. You can hand off a gnarly React refactor, test generation for a Go service, or wiring a new API route, then step back in for the last 20% to tighten types and edge cases. But the real pattern break is the browser. Under the hood, Antigravity wires a full Chrome instance that the agent can drive directly. Click, scroll, fill forms, run JavaScript, reload your local dev server. It runs with your existing cookies and authentication, so the agent sees the same Google Docs, GitHub dashboards, and internal tools that you do. Suddenly, the browser is not just a preview pane. It is a test bench where an AI quality assurance engineer lives 24/7. Hovering above it all is the agent manager, Antigravity's mission control. It treats agents as tasks, not chats, and gives you a single cockpit view of everything running across editor, browser, and terminal. You might have one agent refactoring a TypeScript monolith, another wiring a new route, and a third hammering your app with browser-based integration tests. This is where you stop scrolling through diffs and start watching work spin up, execute, and report back like a live operations dashboard. Here is where the stakes get real. The agent manager enforces a one-to-many relationship, one control window, many autonomous agents fanning out across your stack. It also acts as a safety buffer, catching anything risky or destructive before it hits your machine. Terminal commands, database migrations, and long-running jobs pause in an inbox until you approve or deny them, with clear cards showing the command, rationale, affected files, and expected outcome. This design is there to prevent the nightmare of an overconfident agent wiping a directory while you sleep. Speed ties it all together, jumping between the agent manager and the editor with Command E or Control E clocks in under 100 milliseconds, so it feels instant. You can glance at the task list, approve a migration, then drop back into a specific file to tweak a function before the agent continues. You are nudged to spend more time at the strategic level, less time micromanaging prompts. And the system only taps you on the shoulder with operating system notifications when a human decision is truly needed. Now, how does the agent actually prove its work? This is where the agent that sees and clicks changes the game. Because it runs inside your authenticated Chrome, it can open real specs, real pull requests, and internal dashboards behind single sign-on, building a working mental model of your system without you pasting tokens into a chat. Then, Antigravity exposes primitives like click, scroll, type, and execute JavaScript, so the model can literally drive your app like a human tester. In Kevin Howe's demo, that power shows up in a simple flight tracker web app. He asks the agent to add a new modal card for a Thomas Cole-style artwork generator and wire it into the flow. Instead of replying with a wall of diffs, the agent spins up the browser, refreshes the page, and records itself driving a blue cursor through the user interface. You see it click the modal, verify the layout, check that new flights render, and reload to ensure state persists, all captured as a real trace of DOM events and network calls. This is the shift from diffs to demos. Old school AI coding tools asked you to trust code diffs and maybe a chat transcript. Antigravity flips that. The primary artifacts are natural language plans, linked code changes, screenshots, and browser recordings that show exactly how a feature behaves in your real app. You still have diffs in the editor, but they are no longer the main way you judge the agent's work. Think about how you already debug with teammates today. You send Loom videos, screen shares, staging URLs, and design docs, not just raw patches. Antigravity bakes that instinct into the product and has the agent generate those assets automatically as it works. For a complex task, you might see a chain: initial design document, step-by-step implementation plan, terminal logs, and a final browser video proving the end-to-end flow. Trust grows because validation becomes visual and temporal, not just textual. So why is all of this happening now? Inside DeepMind, teams describe Gemini 3 Pro as a step change in reasoning and reliability, not a marginal upgrade. It can decompose a feature into dozens of subtasks, track dependencies, and update the plan as tests fail or APs change. It decides when to touch the file system, when to open a browser, when to run a terminal command, and when to stop and ask you. Without that level of nuanced tool use and long horizon planning, an agent-first IDE like Antigravity would just fall apart. Gemini 3 Pro is also natively multimodal, which quietly unlocks a new way to design with AI. It can understand text, code, images, and user interface layouts in a single context window, treating your React components, Figma exports, and CSS variables as one coherent artifact. In Antigravity's mockup demo, you ask it to design a landing page for a passwordless auth startup. Instead of just dumping HTML, it generates a high-fidelity image of the page right inside the IDE, alongside the code that could render it. Here is the part nobody expected. You can annotate that mockup like a Google Doc, circling sections, leaving comments, and asking for layout tweaks in plain language. The agent then updates both the visual design and the underlying code in sync, treating them as two views of the same idea. That is not autocomplete. That is a multimodal collaborator sitting inside your IDE. And it hints at a future where product, design, and engineering all meet in one shared agentic workspace. Zooming out, the competitive angle is clear. Tools like GitHub Copilot and Cursor embed AI inside the editor. Antigravity embeds the editor inside the AI. Most incumbents still treat chat as the main interface, a long scrolling conversation trying to represent everything. But once you have 15 agents running across editor, browser, and terminal, chat is just one view among many. You need an asynchronous control plane with inboxes, notifications, and artifacts. And that is exactly what Antigravity ships. The real stakes are not just about nicer tooling. They are about who does the work. When agents can manage long-running refactors, run continuous integration, and validate features in the browser overnight, the nature of a developer's job shifts. You become more of a project lead, orchestrating agents, reviewing artifacts, and making judgment calls rather than hand-coding every branch. For teams, that could mean faster iteration, smaller core squads, and a new divide between people who know how to manage agentic workflows and those who do not. There are also social and organizational implications. If anti-gravity-style workspaces become normal, you might hire fewer junior engineers to grind through boilerplate and more senior people to specify goals and review AI output. Documentation, specs, and design mocks suddenly matter more because they are the fuel agents used to plan and act. In other words, the teams that learn to talk clearly to their autonomous tools will ship more with less human effort. And that changes who gets hired, promoted, and funded over the next few years. So where does this leave you today? Antigravity is an early signal that AI labs are no longer just model vendors. They want to own the full developer experience. Gemini 3 Pro made it possible to have agents that plan, execute, and verify across multiple tools, and Antigravity wraps a user interface around that reality. The question is not whether these agents can code, they already can. The question is how you will adapt your workflow, your team structure, and your skills to an agent-first world. If you want to go deeper, explore how Antigravity handles real-world projects or what this means for junior dev careers. Let me know. Drop a comment with the stack you are using and whether you would trust an agent to touch your production code. And if you want more breakdowns of tools like Gemini 3, Antigravity, and the broader race for the agentic workspace, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next episode. Because this shift from diffs to demos and from editors to agents is moving faster than most teams realize.